Namaste. Welcome to this Gentle Hatha practice to release tension in your hips and shoulders.
Good morning and welcome to your 60-minute Gentle Hatha practice. If you're already lying down or in a different pose of your choice, I invite you just to scan down through the body, noticing if there's any areas you could adjust to find more comfort. A little more space between the ears and the shoulders, or maybe drawing the shoulder blades towards one another on the back of the body. And maybe send the legs a little wider to the edges of the mat if that feels comfortable and safe. Same with the arms, they might slide a little further away. Maybe flipping the palms up if that's not forced. Let's begin by just drawing a nice big breath in through the nose, filling up the belly, the ribs, and the chest. Maybe take an extra little sip at the top or hold. And when you're ready, just let that breath go, maybe with audible sound. Just beginning to observe your breath as it flows in and out through your nose, and experiencing, paying attention, witnessing and observing what expands and contracts as your body breathes. By starting to hone our awareness on the breath, something that's consistent and always there, just helps us to allow any of those external distractions that are always around us just begin to drop into the background of our awareness, giving ourselves the opportunity to begin to unite our bodies and our minds. And as we witness the breath flowing in and out of our body, just beginning to notice any areas of holding, seeing if we can just soften any muscular contraction, just observing where you feel tense in your body. Once you acknowledge any areas of holding, giving yourself permission just to relax those areas, softening a little more, growing a little heavier in those parts of the body. And then feel your entire body here. Awareness of your entire body, seeing if you can just find and experience and sense and feel 2% more relaxation through your entire being. Just feeling that breath move in and out in an easy and organic way. Noticing if it's challenging to be still, or if you find your mind becoming busy when the body is still. The end of your next exhale, if you're feeling ready, we're just going to begin to wiggle a little through the fingers and the toes and come into pranayama before we bring ourselves away from the mat. So let's begin to take a bend into the knees, bring the feet a little wider, pushing the feet to lift the hips, curve the spine, and then just allow that spine to reconnect to the mat. You might turn the big toes in and allow the knees to drop towards one another. If it's helpful, you can bring the hands to the torso, either the abdomen, the chest, or maybe the rib cage just below the the upper chest or towards the bottom of the sternum where solar plexus is, or just bring a mental awareness to that area. And we're going to come in to a 3-part breath where we are going to fill up through the abdomen, through the rib cage, and then through the chest. And on the exhales, we're going to feel the chest fall, the rib cage fall, and then the belly. So taking just a couple fuller, more controlled rounds of breath here before we begin. Noticing how the body again is breathing organically and what expands and contracts organically. And then at the end of an exhale, when you're ready to join in, focus on feeling the abdomen expand first, and the rib cage, and then the upper chest. And feeling the chest fall, the rib cage, and then the belly or the navel. Just doing the best you can for 5 to 8 rounds of breath. At any point this isn't serving you or makes you feel anxious in any way, then just stop and come back to an easy breath, noticing where your body rises and falls. And just completing the final round of pranayama. Observing 1 or 2 organic rounds of breath, noticing if there's any differences from when you first brought your awareness to your breath and how your body's breathing. It might take a few rounds to really let go of all control of the breath. Relax fully through the body. And when you're feeling ready, we'll just begin to heel till the feet into about hip distance and draw the right knee into the chest, wrapping the hands around the shin. You could keep the left knee bent or any point in time extend it down the length of the mat, just a gentle flexion through that left heel. Let's take the right knee into the right hand, gently draw it open, maintaining stability and grounding down through the left side of the body. So as we externally rotate the right knee and hip to the right, we're not allowing the left side of the body to peel away from the mat. Maybe taking the left hand to the hip just to anchor and to help bring that awareness there. Good. Maybe little squeezes in as we exhale and just letting the knee and leg fall gently away slightly, the arm extending a little more as we fill up with breath. And then we're going to start with our circles here. So maybe you start with small circles coming all the way out to the right, coming all the way in, maybe even crossing over to the left through the center midline of the body. Gradually finding your full range of motion, rotating through the right knee and hip. And just slowing it down. Inhale takes half a circle in movement, and the exhale, the other half. Nice, slow, controlled movement, not allowing the arm or hand to do the work, just supporting. Feel this movement come from the ball and socket of that hip joint, and of course, all the muscles supporting. When it feels right, just pausing in your movement and reversing direction. Again, you can start with smaller circles and gradually increase the size, or just come to that fuller range of motion, which may take a few rounds of breath to really explore. And creating space through the low back and the pelvis, the inner thighs, the groin, and lubricating the ball and socket hip joint. Let's do one more circle here, and then we'll pull that knee back towards center. Take both hands around the shin and just give it a little squeeze in, maybe a little bounce, just a little shakiness. And then we'll Take the right arm and just release it, maintaining contact through the left hand to the outside of the right knee. Take a big breath in as we exhale. You can allow the right sit bone to peel away as we start to draw the right knee over to the left, maybe gazing to the right. And you might feel the right hip begin to stack over the left, just trying your best to maintain contact through the right shoulder to the floor. The further you squeeze the knee in, the more sensation you'll likely feel through the outer hip and glute. Not that we're looking for a forced or intense sensation of a stretch, just something gentle. So play around there, make those little adjustments to find just the right stretch for you. And then I encourage you to soften back down through the eyes and just enjoy. Staying longer if it calls to you, or take another breath in. And as we exhale, we'll bring the head and that leg back to center. We'll bring both hands to the shin, give it another little squeeze in, and then send that leg up towards the sky, flexing through the heel. If you like, bring the hands to the sides of the body and then roll to the left to slide palm down under the right glute, and then roll to the right to slide left palm under the left glute. You can walk or wiggle the forearms and shoulders in together. Engage the core. Both heels are gently flexed with a softness to the knees. Option to keep the head down or take a breath in. Exhale, peel the head away from the mat looking down. Take a breath in. With that core engaged, exhale, lower the leg a third of the way down. Pause on the inhale, lowering 2/3 of the way. Pausing on the inhale, and then lowering that heel just to hover. So lift those shoulders away, engage the core, and we're going to pulse through that leg for 5, 3, 1, and hold, and then lower the head and shoulders and that leg down. Let's take a bend in the knees, give a little rock from side to side, releasing the hands from the low back and just feeling that release now. We'll move over to the other side when you're ready. Coming back to stillness, bringing the left knee in, wrapping the hands around the shin. Maybe the right knee stays bent. Maybe you extend it now. Maybe you wait a little while and experiment later with extending. Let's start to take the right hand to the right hip bone, or just awareness to that area of the body as we peel the left knee and hip out to the left for an external rotation. Just feeling anchored through both sides of the body, maybe softening down through the eyes, finding your breath. And when you're ready, starting to draw your circles. Again, you can start with smaller circles, but just really focusing on slowing these circular motions down. Allowing this movement to come from the hip and everything supporting that ball and socket joint rather than getting momentum of rocking. Try to stay stable through that right side of the body, focusing the movements at the hip. Maybe the knee drops way out. Maybe it's a little tighter. Maybe it draws over to the right. Maybe it doesn't cross the midline. Just exploring your external and internal rotation through the hip, where there's tightness, smoothing out any rigidity or rough points. And then when you're feeling ready, just gradually reversing that direction and just moving with breath. Maybe the hands at the knee, maybe the legs moving without that support of the arm and the hand. Good, and then maybe pausing with that knee out to the side where we began. Slowly drawing it in, maybe taking both hands back to the shin and just giving it a little squeeze, maybe a little bit of a pulse. Good. And then we'll release the hands. You can send the leg up or wait till we bring those arms down to the sides, bringing the hands together with the palms down under the back. Pull those shoulders, elbows in, and engage the core. Eventually, we'll send that left leg up, making sure that navel's drawing back and up. We'll take a breath in. Option to peel the head and shoulders away from the mat, looking down. We'll inhale using our exhale to slowly lower the leg a third of the way down. And pause on your inhale, very slow and controlled. Exhaling, coming down, making sure you're not locking the knee until we get to that third exhalation where we just hover, lift a little further from the mat and pulse. Keeping your breath rhythmic as we're pulsing a little faster than we're breathing, I hope. And then hold. Release the head and shoulders, keep the arms where they are. You can release that left leg, take a bend back into the knees. We're going to do double legs now. So when you're ready, lift the legs back up towards the sky. Again, hands are optional if you don't have any difficulties accessing your core to contract and you don't feel the spine lift away. You're welcome to remove the hands for more challenge. Otherwise, really engage that core. Hands stay where they are. Big breath in, exhale, peel the head and shoulders away, lift away. One inhale, exhale, lower two heels. Breathing in, lowering 2/3. Breathing in, re-engage the core. This time lower to hover the heels and pulse. Keep your breath going. Pull that navel back and up. Good. Now you can just pause the legs, draw the knees to chest, wrap the hands around the shins, pull the nose to the knees. If you need to rest the neck, do. Otherwise, squeeze everything in, but don't hold the breath. Keep breathing here. Maybe feel that fire. One more inhale. Exhale, roll it down. Let's just pause with the knees to the chest. Give that head a gentle rock from side to side. Really release it when it falls to the one side. Relax fully before using your inhale to roll back to center through the head. Good. And let's pull the knees in as we exhale. Send them away. Push them down towards the bottom edge of the mat as you pull them together and then back in. So drawing circles with the knees in opposite directions. Just one more little tension release. Feeling that massage if the thighs happen to graze the abdomen and reversing that direction. Good. And then we'll release the feet down to the mat. Press into the feet to slide the hips to one edge and we'll roll into a fetal position, just pausing there for a couple of rounds of breath. Slowly rising up in your own time and in your own way, lifting your body away from the mat. We're going to transition right over onto the hands and knees to prepare for our tabletop pose, just to transition eventually to our forearm plank. So setting up with any kind of cushioning under the knees if that helps support your body. Think of clawing the fingertips into the mat, elbows nice and soft. The space between the shoulders is parallel with the shoulder blades. We're not winging out through the shoulders or rounding up through that area of the body. Again, engaging that core just to find that neutral spine. Now we're going to walk the knees back, maintaining that strong core. Start to let the hips release down, the wrists still below the shoulders still active. And then from here, keep the core engaged. We're going to release the elbows down below the shoulders. So make sure they're not wide to the width of the mat. They're stacked beneath the shoulders. And making adjustments, the hands can be gently clasped or just palms down. So again, engage the core. Try not to stick the tail up in the air, but lift the chest away from the mat by pressing down through the forearms. And then check in with the head and neck. Do you have a tendency to look up? Just lengthen through the cervical spine with a gentle tuck of the chin. So the gaze would be between the palms if the eyes are open. Now option just to stay here, lowering down to rest anytime, or curl those toes in without lifting the hips. Just lift the knees away from the mat. Again, that core is engaged, lifting through the chest. Make sure you're breathing no matter where you are. Good. One more inhale. If the knees are lifted, we're going to drop them down. We're going to lower through the belly. Now place the forearms right down, fingers reaching or extending beyond the top edge of the mat. Lift that chest away without cranking the head or gaze up. Draw the shoulder blades towards one another on the back. Experiment with the feet and the legs. Do you want them wide, the heels dropping in? Do you want the toes in, the heels dropping out, or straight down, toes from the hips? Maybe close through the eyes and bring some awareness to your heart space here. Take a moment to set an intention for your practice if you haven't already. Slowing and lengthening out your breath, staying active across the chest and shoulder blades, the shoulders gently drawing down and back. Tuck the chin a little more if you're starting to feel any strain through the head and neck. Relax the jaw, unfurrow the brow. Notice if your glutes are clenched, can you relax them and engage the core instead? Notice how that changes sensation in your pose, in your body. Good, let's slow our breath down and take 3 more rounds. At the end of your third exhalation, we're going to lower through the chest. We're going to extend the left arm out to the left. So look over to that extended left arm, place the right palm under the shoulder, and start to draw the right knee out to a bend. Okay, so the inner leg is resting on the mat. And then we're going to walk the left fingers away, start to turn the head to the right, rolling onto the left side of the body. Take a bend in that right knee to place in front of the left thigh. If the head doesn't come down comfortably, use a prop that you have close by, article of clothing, or maybe take a fist into the right hand to place underneath the side of the head. So just working on some shoulder work now. Make sure the wrist of the left arm is just lower towards the hip rather than up towards the head. So we want it below shoulder height. You can walk the hand a little further away or make adjustments to create more space between the left ear and shoulder if there's any kind of congestion there. And just slowing our breath down, giving our body the opportunity to open up any tight areas. You can always experiment with bringing that right foot behind the left leg and just allowing the knee to drop slightly away to that external rotation. So the body just kind of hangs with that gentle force of gravity if you feel like you need a little more sensation of a stretch, but making sure whatever that is, that it's gentle and not forced. Let's relax areas of tension that don't need to be held. Relax the jaw. Take a few easy, slow rounds of breath here. Just pressing that last exhalation out full and complete. Maybe planting that right palm, supporting the head with muscular contraction. Bring the right leg in front if it's behind, and we'll roll back into that Sphinx pose, bringing the elbows back under the shoulders. Back to where we started. Take a breath in at center. Exhale, just take the chin over to the left. Drop down through the right shoulder. On your next inhale, bring the head back to center. Exhale, looking over the right shoulder, dropping back through the left. Good, and then our next inhale will bring back to center. Now we're going to send the right arm out, walk the right arm away as we look in that direction, placing the left palm under the left shoulder, and then we'll bring the gaze to the left. Continue to walk the right arm away, rolling to the right hip and side of the body. You can place that left foot in front of the right thigh, maybe supporting the head with whatever you've got close by. You're always just taking a fist there. And just make sure you can adjust. If you can adjust a little more, to adjust a little more, and then find that stillness. Try to relax through the entire right leg and hip. After a few rounds of breath like this, you can experiment with bringing the left leg in behind the right and just allowing that hip to externally rotate. Just notice how your body kind of floats in that space between resistance from rolling forward and back. And you might just kind of feel the body rock a little here as you breathe. And if you're like me, I like to lift my head first so I can plant that left palm, bring the left foot in front of the right, and start to roll onto our bellies. Coming back into that Sphinx pose, just take a few rounds of breath here, lengthening through the spine, engaging through the core, relaxing through the glutes, softening through the eyes, bring awareness to the heart. Good, and one more for the shoulders. Lift the chest, thread the right arm through, and then we're going to cross the left above. So we're crossing the arms in opposite direction, kind of like when we're hugging ourselves through opposite shoulders, and then just kind of rest the head down here. So allow the weight of the body just to rest on those arms to bring about a deeper stretch and make those adjustments. Maybe the arms kind of come underneath the chin a little bit, around the upper chest. Maybe they're a little lower. But for me, my chin's just kind of resting on that upper arm, and I'm starting to feel a nice spread and opening between the shoulder blades as the body progressively grows a little heavier. Good, one more big full round of breath in. As you exhale, just softening through the body, heavy, not anticipating movement, but just fully relaxing to the tail end of that exhalation. And then we'll press into the forearms to lift, and we're just going to cross the arm that's lower above and then readjust to come back into that pose. So again, just separate the elbows away from one another if you can, to where maybe you can rest the chin on the upper arm or support something underneath the head. Good, and one more full breath in and out. We'll lift through the head. Start to walk the forearms back, so the elbows out to the sides of the body. Let's bring the palms underneath the shoulders. Now curl the toes. Lift the chest away from the mat, so we're pushing back into that tabletop pose where we began, and just setting ourselves back up here. Curl through our toes. Let's exhale. Sink the hips back towards the heels and just rock the hips and body from side to side. Feel the sides of the body open, a little stretch towards those outer hips and glutes, and a little stretch to the soles of the feet. Feel the shoulders draw back away from the ears. Good, and then find stillness. Use your inhale to pause, prepare, and our exhale, you can lift up a little if you like, or just push back into downward facing dog. And let's just slow our pedals out, rocking the head maybe from side to side. Feeling the upper body nice and strong, supporting as it takes a lot of the weight here. Strengthening through the shoulders and the chest. And let's pause here, deepen the bend in the knees. Give a little wiggle through your tail. Good. Let's walk the hands slowly back towards the feet. We're going to land in a forward fold, so you can grab a block or two here if you'd like to have that support, or bend the knees, rest forearms on thighs if you like the head to be higher than the hips and the heart, or explore a little bit more of a distance between the feet if that's more comfortable. We can take the hands to opposite elbows, cradling the head. Either sway from side to side or explore if it's comfortable for you with the crown dangling down, so we're not cranking the head up here. Start to explore some half circular motion, just noticing the shift in distribution of weight through the soles of the feet. If you're drawing those half circles, maybe you can come into full circular motions. Just a few in one direction and then reversing. Good. And then finally landing in your forward fold. Let's release through the arms. On our next inhale, use that core to rise up to a halfway lift. Draw the shoulders back, lengthen the spine, pull that core in. Big inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Good. This time we're going to take a breath in. On the exhale, sink down through the hips like you're going to sit in a chair, and then peel the upper body away from the lower body to find a squat position. Sinking nice and low. Feel the weight rest in the heels, maybe lifting the toes, and make sure you're not pushing the tail behind you. We want to curve that tail and pelvis into a more neutral position. Maybe sink a little deeper here. Roll those shoulders down and back. Breathing. Inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Sway it out, any kind of movement that feels good. Feel that release. And we're going to do that one more time. So come on back to center. Big breath in. Exhale, sink those hips low and think of keeping them low as we peel the upper body away from the lower body. And then use your next couple exhales to sink a little deeper. Find your breath. Feel those quads fire up. This time we're just going to slowly straighten up, slower than you want to. Bring the arms up overhead, clasp through the fingers, release the index finger and thumb. Good. Readjust the feet, making sure they're hip distance apart. Pull the navel in. As we exhale, ground into the left heel and lean to the right. Relax the shoulders down away from the ears. Maybe inhale, rise up. Exhale, soften a little deeper. Still anchoring down through the left heel. Both knees soft. After your next exhale, we'll use our inhale to come back to center. Exhale, relax the shoulders. Keep the shoulders down as we inhale. Lift the upper body away from the lower body, engaging the core, ground through the right heel. Exhale, lean to the left. And anchoring down through both heels, but a little more focus on that right heel staying grounded, and maybe exaggerating movement with breath. Good. One more exhale. We'll inhale, come all the way up. Release the hands, pull the navel in, relax the shoulders down. So really engage that core up and away, And then gently, maybe lift the gaze, maybe arms gently draw back. Nice big breath in and out, maybe the lips part. And then let's bring those palms together, lower the hands down through heart as we bring the neck and spine back to a neutral position. Soften the knees, big breath in. A sigh of relief and release. Let's go to a gentle flow. Inhale, rise up, reach up. Exhale, hands can come through heart or wide to swan dive down. Inhale, rise up, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to mat. Step back, find your high plank. Good. You can lower the knees or stay lifted, rolling forward to the tips of the toes. Crown lengthens forward. Otherwise, a long line from the tail to the crown with those knees down. Lift through the chest, active through the shoulders and the space between. Take a big inhale. Exhale, lower knees, thighs, hips, chest, and chin. Inhale, flatten through the feet, core engaged. Lift to that baby cobra. Maybe experiment with lifting the hands away from the mat. 2 breaths in and out. In and use that out breath to lower down. Curl through the toes, slide the palms slightly back. If it's helpful, press into the fours on your inhale. Exhale, back to downward dog, and let's pedal it out. Give the head a little rock from side to side. Bring the toes together, soften the knees. Inhale, send the right leg back without misaligning the hips. They stay square. The left knee softens as the right heel lifts. Shoulders broad, head is dropping. One more inhale. Exhale, come onto the back toes as we curl the right knee to chest. And then place the right knee behind the wrist. Slide the left toes back before releasing the left knee. And then bring that right knee slightly out to the right. Walk the hands back. Tenting through the fingers, you could use your blocks here. Just allow the shoulders to roll down and back. Maybe check in over the left shoulder, see if that leg or foot is sickling and try to align it from the hip. Good, you can experiment with moving into any variation of king pigeon if it's in your practice, bringing one hand to the middle of the mat, scooping the foot into the hand and drawing heel towards the glute. Maybe you have a practice where both hands come back at the same time or overhead. If so, go ahead, but just move slowly and cautiously so we're less susceptible to injure ourselves here. When you're ready, and if you'd like to come into sleeping pigeon, come back to where we started and take your time. Take one more big breath in its center. And if you are coming into sleeping pigeon, use your exhale to come on down. If this is not feeling good for the knee or you have any knee issues, I would avoid pigeon pose if you feel any kind of torquing in the knee. And think about coming onto your back body and drawing the knee in towards the armpit instead. Or taking another variation of a hip opener that feels good for you. And then again, just soften any areas of tension. So we're sending messages to our nervous system to calm and relax and let go. If you need to move in and out of this pose or flow in your own way, feel free. Otherwise, maybe challenging yourself just to continue to relax the body when you feel tension beginning to creep back in. Coming back to those easy breaths, nourishing all the layers of your being. And if you're still in pigeon, let's just take 3 more rounds of breath if you're still here. Maybe lengthening them out a little more if they've become shallow. Good. Complete that third exhalation all the way. Don't rush it. And then we'll peel the head. We'll place the palms under the shoulders, walking them slightly back, curling the back toes, glide the body forward. And you can move to table first or just lift those hips, squeeze the knee in reverse, the way we came in, sending the leg back. Now we have the option of staying in our three-limb dog, bending through the knee and opening up through the hip to stack the right hip over the left. Maybe you take the gaze over the left and you can see those toes. We'll rotate out through that ankle a few times and one in the opposite direction. And then we'll bring the head back to center. We'll square through the hips, extending the leg, and slowly lower the right foot down to meet the left. Paddle out or take a little rest on the knees or shins. And then we'll bring those toes together. We're mindfully sending the left leg up without shifting those hips out of alignment. Deepen the bend in the right knee as we lengthen a little higher towards the sky or further towards the back wall with that left heel. And then with control, bend the knee, squeeze it in, lift the back body as we come onto the back toe and slowly release the knee behind the wrist. Sliding the right toes back, sliding that left knee slightly out and walking the hands back. Maybe look back with the right over the right shoulder. Correct any sickling. And again, if you want to explore any kind of king variation, going ahead on your own, taking your time to do that. Maybe if all else fails, just feeling that nice stretch through the quad as we bend through the knee, if that's available. Maybe you're skipping that. So at any point you want to come into that resting pigeon, do so after a big breath in. So it's nice and mindful, guiding our way down. Again, bringing some support under the head, whether it's stack fists or hands, and just allowing those elbows to drop out to the sides. Slowing our breath down. And then again, we'll just hold for 3 more slow, full rounds of breath. If you want to stay longer, do. If you're ready, lifting the head at the end of that exhale, bring the elbows back under the shoulders before replacing the elbows with the palms. We can recurl the back knee to glide it forward. You can step to table or curl the back toes, lift back in reverse to your 3-limb dog. Maybe adjust through the hands and legs, and you can just come back into that down dog. You could rest in child's pose, or if you want to come to that hip opener, bend the knee, stack the left over the right. Again, we don't want to shift the shoulders here. We want to keep them nice and square as we open the hips. So maybe there's less opening through the hip. We have more integrity through the upper body. Good. You might look over the right shoulder and just roll out through that left ankle a few times in one and then the opposite direction. And then we'll start to bring the head back and then square the hips, extending the leg, lowering the left leg down to meet the right. Let's give one last pedal. Soften those knees, lower them down, and we'll meet in child's pose. Bring the knees wide, big toes together, sink the hips back towards the heels, and rest your body down. Maybe you want to use a restorative option today, using your bolster to slide the body over. Maybe you're using blocks under the forearms or the elbows. Maybe the head's turned to one side. Just start to relax and continue to make adjustments as the body does grow a little more accustomed to the pose. What a good opportunity to be more aware, more connected, and more united. After a couple of more rounds of breath, if the head's turned to one side, I invite you to just very gently switch sides of the head. Get comfortable again here and relax. When the body takes its next inhale, just lengthen out that inhale a little fuller. Allow the exhale to release all the way out. We'll start to bring the hands back in position to help support our body and lifting up as we bring the head back to center. If there's a prop there, just remove it out of the way. And before we make our way onto our backs to set up gradually for Shavasana, bring the knees in a little. If you can, rest on the heels. Okay, and even bring the hands back. So pull in that core here so we're not arching through the back without using that core to support. And maybe just walk the hands a little further back. You can keep the chin tucked, or if you like, you can lift the bum away from the heels and just open up through the front of the body, letting the head drop back with control. And just one final stretch in through those big quadricep muscles, the hip flexors, opening up the energy channels of the entire front line of the body, including the heart space. Taking one more inhale before slowly lowering the bottom if it's lifted, and then tucking the chin to the chest. And we're going to pause here for a breath in and out. And then bring our shoulders back over the hips. Once we're here, take your time, just roll out through those shoulders and reverse. And then we'll swing the legs around and make our way onto our bottoms. Grab your block or blocks, so they're close. And we'll just come on down with a bend in the knees, that constructive rest pose. Once you're there, give a little rock of the knees from side to side. Just make sure we're not clinging onto tension in that low back, nice and loose. And you can either use one block at any height you like or both blocks. We're going to come into a restorative bridge pose. So pressing into the feet to lift the hips. Maybe you're experimenting with a little bit higher today. Maybe you want to stay nice and low. Maybe you want to stay more active, not using the blocks at all. Just make sure that you can broaden the shoulders. And as we rest the back of the head, we're not feeling any weight at all through the cervical spine. If you're not sure, take the hand, make sure there's no bony parts pressing into the mat. And if so, you want to add something soft under the neck. It's important to keep the head at center here. You can either stay with the knees bent in just a supported bridge. You could experiment with your uh, waterfall pose, extending the legs up, just being mindful if you're on a higher side of the block. Or you could experiment with walking the heels further away, the legs further away. Whatever you like. If you're in that supported bridge, maybe turn the heels slightly out, the big toes in, finding a place where it feels best for you. And always change your mind and adjust. Experimenting with how you want the arms to rest, trying to find a little bit of space around the throat area. And just notice the pelvis and the spine. If there's any areas you're holding tension here, once we become aware, we can let it go. We'll just take a couple rounds of breath here now. If you're in a different position than I am, just gradually, if you're ready, making your way back to that constructive rest pose, supported bridge. Bringing the arms down towards the low body so we can press into the feet when we're ready to lift the hips just enough to slide the block out and then lower down nice and slow. See, curving the spine, the pelvis. Once it connects, the low back, give a little rock of those knees from side to side, maybe separating the feet along the way to the width of the mat or even wider. And when you're ready, allow the legs with those wide feet to just fall towards the right, maybe dropping the head to the left, maybe creating more space between the ears and the shoulders to rest. Using an inhale. So at the end of an exhale, coming back to center nice and slow, readjust between sides, and we'll allow the next exhale to bring us to the other side, knees falling to the left, chin maybe dropping to the right. Gradually bringing everything back to center, maybe heel toeing the feet back in. And if you like, drawing the knees back in towards the chest, pushing the knees together away, opening up and drawing in. If you want to explore other movement, of course, this is your practice. These are just always options I'm offering. You can do what feels good in your body. Good, maybe a little rock from side to side, or maybe prefer one more squeeze in, whether it's just knees in or nose to knees, hugging everything in nice and tight. And after you're feeling ready, just slowly releasing your body down, making adjustments along the way. Maybe you use your bolster underneath the knees, maybe use your bolster underneath the spine for more heart opening. Maybe you just like to feel grounded and it feels good to extend the legs and make contact with the majority of the surfaces of the back body to the mat to feel centered and grounded and whole. Just taking your time to find your resting pose. To soften back down through the eyes, maybe gradually relaxing the jaw and the brow, the throat, the heart, the entire torso, the arms, the legs, the hands, the feet, the fingers and the toes. relaxing the tongue. Gentle awareness, letting go. Just ever so gently becoming aware of these next few rounds of breath. And gradually becoming aware of your physical body. And when you're feeling ready, beginning to bring little movements back into your body, wiggling through fingers and toes. Be rocking the head from side to side. Maybe stretching yourself long, bending the knees, rocking them from side to side. And making your way gradually into a fetal position on one side or the other. And after a breath or two on your side, gently coming up to find yourself in an upright seated position. Once you're there, just softening through the eyes for more of an internal awareness and perspective of observation. You might bring the hands together at the heart, just noticing how you feel. The light within me sees and honors the light within each of you. Namaste.
Thank you so much for joining me here today. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more content.